So let's start with what questions you have.
All right. Well, I've been starting with looking at these FBOs and Fed bid and all that good stuff, and I've submitted a few bids. I haven't heard anything back within the last couple of days. Well, actually last week I sent out 3. I haven't heard anything back, so I don't know if I'm completely off kilter or. And they're pretty good sized contracts too that I'm bidding on right now for alteration, dry cleaning, and laundry.
Have you requested a debriefing on any of those?
Not yet. The award hasn't been submitted yet.
Ah, okay. Usually in the instructions to offer, they'll have sometimes they'll give you a debriefing window where they only give you a certain amount of time to request a debriefing, and sometimes you can just request it and they'll give it to you. That's how I learned so much about government contracts. Once I realized that you could request debriefings, I started requesting them on everything that I saw. And learning why they chose who they did and why they didn't choose who they didn't.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Exactly.
I want to be results oriented. I want to learn if I made a mistake and that's why I didn't win it. I want to know this. I don't want to keep making that same mistake.
Exactly.
So between that and learning, what my clients told me worked for them and what I learned that worked for me, because I actually had an event company years ago and I did some government contracts as well. So I had some insight there.
Yeah. Okay.
But obviously if they haven't awarded them yet, you can't go out and request a debriefing until it's been awarded.
Exactly. So once the award is given, then you can request a debriefing.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, that's good. Well,
and most debriefings they'll just email you.
Okay. All right. Sure. Have you ever been in the laundry and dry cleaning realm at all by any chance? Have you ever seen any of the contracts?
Yeah, I've worked with a vendor. It's funny because I haven't talked to him in a while. I worked with a vendor 6-7 months ago. I was doing some dry cleaning work for Tinkler Air Force Base.
Okay.
And he won his first contract. And some people will utilize me and I'll help them with a couple of bids, and then they win one, and then I never hear from them again because they know what they're doing and they run with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I'm looking to do is do the whole East Coast up and down, and there's a lot of opportunities with this, from regular laundry to the dry cleaning to full on daily operations of it. With the FBI right now, they have a contract with the FBI where you can go pick up every day all of the military police uniforms. It's huge. There's another one out in Fort Bragg, which is all the laundry for the hospital that they have there, and hundreds of thousands of pounds of regular laundry linens that can be done.
Right.
I don't have the capabilities to facilitate that yet, but what I'm looking at right now.
Of it out.
Yeah.
Some contracts you can sub the entire thing out.
Yeah. That's I love this. I love what I'm seeing. I love the whole grandiose picture of what I can do here. Especially in the textile industry. There's such a broad spectrum, on that end. So I'm very interested in getting on with this. That's for sure.
So you're using FBO now, and are you manually searching, or you just set up your searches to run automatically?
I set them up to run automatically. So I've been getting the email notifications.
What time of the day do you get the emails?
I get them late in the middle of the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning.
The reason why, more than likely, is it's related to when you set the searches up as to when they run.
Oh.
The problem with that is purchasing agents will frequently put something out for bid, and they'll get 3 or 4 or 5 responses, but they only had to have 3 responses in order to put it out for bid. So sometimes they'll put it out and they'll get 5, 6 responses, well, they'll archive it within an hour of putting it out. And then when your search runs at 3 o'clock, you don't even see it.
Okay. Okay.
That happens quite a bit. One of the things we've done to solve that problem, we have our own database. We don't use FBO anymore. We have a database called AFPDS. AFPDS updates every 5 minutes. So if there was an opportunity put out, you will get it 5 minutes later.
Okay.
Instead of your search running at 3 o'clock and you missed out on it because they already archived it that day.
Okay. Okay.
The other beautiful thing about AFPDS is that FBO used to maintain all the contracts in an archive, so you could go back and see this contract you're bidding on right now. You could go back and see who did it 2 years ago and how much it was awarded for 2 years ago and 5 years ago and 7 years ago. I get an idea of how much additional money the government's paying each year to cover inflation. Also knowing who did it last year and how much they were paid before you submit your bid is golden information.
Yeah.
But FBO, they stopped keeping that data in FBO about a year ago. They set FBO up to automatically dump data after 1 year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Fortunately for you and I, we started working on our database about 3 years ago, and we went into FBO 3 years ago and downloaded all of the data before they deleted it. It just happened to be good timing.
Yeah, totally.
So our system, when you get a bid in our system, just like FBO, it shows you the opportunity, but our system shows you on the second half of the screen the history of that contract, who's done it for the last 39 years. Every one of those vendors that did it for the last 39 years, how much they were paid, the name of the purchasing officer that hired them. You can click on the purchasing officer's name and it gives you the complete history of the purchasing officer's purchases. You can click on the vendor that did it last year. It gives you the complete history of the vendor who did it last year and all their other deals, all their other contracts that they won with the government. So it takes the legwork out of having to search for that data. And like I said, knowing what they paid last year before you submit a bid is gold. This system does it automatically. And as soon as they're done importing, I think we're at 2017 right now. So as soon as they're done importing all the past performance, it'll start tracking live contracts. So as every day of contracts awarded, it'll go in there and it'll show and it'll track it. But once they get that finalized and it's complete, then they're going to start tracking subnet. You know what subnet is?
No.
Subnet is a database that the SBA has where they allow primes to put contracts out for bid where they're looking to hire subcontractors. Now, you could have, you could have one of the largest cleaning companies on the planet that's doing hundreds of millions of dollars in government contracts. They have to sub out 23% of their contracts in order to keep from losing them. So those guys are always looking for small businesses to work with to meet that 23% requirement.
Okay. Okay.
And subnet is the database that tracks those opportunities. So those you'll have prime opportunities in AFPDS and you'll have subcontracting opportunities in AFPDS. So you'll never miss out on a government contract for any reason, whether it was put out for bid or they posted it and they took it down 2 hours later because they got so many responses. Once they get subnet fully functioning in AFPDS, then they're going to start tracking every state database. So you won't have to go to FBO for federal contracts and subnet for subcontracts and the state of Florida .gov for state contracts and then the city of Tampa for Tampa contracts. Eventually, our database will track all government opportunities. And when we get that down, they're going to actually start going after all the Fortune 500 companies because each Fortune 500 company has their own database of opportunities that they put out for bid. So the goal will be eventually our database will track every procurement on this planet. State, local, government, federal, commercial, industrial, you name it, it'll be in one database with the past performance automatically. So that's definitely something I want to introduce you to, if not today, down the road, whenever you're ready, because that'll save you a lot of time and energy and manpower.
Totally. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now,
I love it.
Are you familiar with the Federal Procurement Data System?
I've done some searches on there.
Okay. I want to teach you how to attack this system from every angle. So, of course, I'm going to teach you how to submit bids and submit bids properly with the right documentation and even more important, being able to find the opportunities quickly and within minutes determining if it's something that you want to bid on, so that you're not, I don't want you spending too much time looking for the needle in the haystack. I want you looking for a needle in a pile of needles. You're just looking for the right size needle, the right thread count, the right blah, blah, blah. And that way, the less time you spend looking or the less time you spend trying to figure out if this is something you want to bid on or not, the more time you're going to spend bidding.
Exactly.
But I'm also going to teach you how to get access to no bid, simplified acquisition, sole source, single source, blanket purchase agreements, IDIQs, how to get more subcontract work with the primes. Even if you're not working with, was that Cintas does laundry, CINTAS?
Yeah.
Even if you're not working for them as a subcontractor where you're actually handling their overflow or you're handling a portion of their job because they have to sub out 23% of it. Let's say, for example, I hope you get a contract with IBM. IBM has laundry services, and they will hire you because you're a government vendor, and they can claim that and show that they're hiring government vendors. So when IBM has to hire 23% small businesses, they have to be government vendors. That doesn't mean that you have to physically work on a government contract. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
I'll give you a prime example. I've got a guy who's a construction guy. He's one of my clients. He's been a client for almost 6 years now. He's big. He's doing a lot of government work. He called me last year because he was ready to get on a GSA schedule, and we were just kind of talking about things, and I was getting his information to get his GSA schedule set up, and we were talking about how he didn't like, it's called the ESRS, Electronic Subcontract Reporting System. This is where when they hire a small business, they have to go in the ESRS and they have to prove how much they paid them. That's how they prove that they're hiring 23% small businesses. So he was talking about the ESRS and how he hated hiring subcontractors because they didn't do the work the way he did it. A lot of times he had to go back and redo their work or babysit them to make sure they did it right. And, just complaining about that. But it's one of those things. He knows he has to do it, so he would do it. Well, he was telling me about he consolidated his 3 old locations, and he built one new main location. And I asked him, I said, you got a janitorial company cleaning your new office, right? Well, of course I do, like I was insulting him. And I said,
sure.
well, the reason why I'm asking, the janitorial company that's cleaning your new facility, are they a federal government vendor? And he's, heck, I don't know. Why does that matter? And I said, well, if they were, you could claim that money on the ESRS. And that's one less subcontractor that you have to babysit or have worked on your government contract and they do it wrong and you have to redo it. That's one less guy you got to hire. What? He had no idea that he could, he thought he physically had to hire contractors to come out and work on his government contract. No. Anything he buys from a federally registered vendor, he can claim in the ESRS, and that's one less sub he has to work on, to hire to do the work on his contracts.
Okay.
So it benefits these Fortune 500 companies to hire you, even if it's not to work on their government contracts, but to hire you to do personal stuff for them in-house,
right?
Because they can still claim it.
Wow.
So you could see where that opens up an entire new realm of opportunities.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Huge, huge. Now all you need is the knowledge of how to find those people and how to get in front of them and how to get those contracts lined up. And that's another thing that I'm going to teach you how to attack this system from every angle. To do prime work, to do sub work, to do work for the prime contractors. Even though you're not technically a sub, they can still claim it as a sub. I'll help you get more state, local, federal government, residential, commercial, industrial, anything. I'm going to teach you everything I know and everything my clients have taught me that worked for them.
That's good. That's amazing.
This system right here, just this system alone, you can find your competitors' purchasing agents and market yourself directly to your competition's purchasing agents. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. That's pretty pretty ingenious there.
Give me a name of a competitor.
Let's say NE Cleaners.
Annie, A-N-Y?
No, N-E, N as in Nancy, E as in Edward.
Like that?
Yep. Let's see if it pops up.
Okay, now this database only tracks about 10% of the spending. And that's,
Okay.
I'm guessing, that's my guesstimization is what I like to call it. I like to make up these little words that don't exist, like guesstimization. I base that on, I have fun with it. I base that on the set-asides, because this system tracks set-aside. This is where the purchasing agents prove that they're hiring women and minorities and veterans and 8As and hub zones and service-disabled veterans. This is where they prove it. That's why this system exists.
Okay.
So if you look at the set-asides, 23% small business, 5 for minority women, veterans, 8As, and 3 for service-disabled hub zones. If you add all that up, that's 49% of the federal budget supposed to be guaranteed to these guys. If you divide that by the number of set-asides, which is 7, it comes down to 7%. But I like to round it up to 10% just to make the math easy. So if you consider this system tracks about 10% of the spending, that means this 467 contracts in here is probably closer to 4,000, 4,600 contracts. We're only seeing that 10% though. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Now, let's say you want to find out who works for the Public Building Service who hired this company for this contract. Was recently awarded. It doesn't look like it's been funded yet, but if you click the view link and you take this right here, copy it. You ready for this? Just Google it.
Oh, all right. Yeah, yeah.
Simplest thing in the world.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, absolutely.
There is Justin's name and phone number right there.
Wow. That's
now
great.
You can call Justin and say, hey, Justin, I'm so-and-so with blah, blah, blah. You hit him with your quick 10, 15-second elevator pitch that I'm going to help you write. And introduce yourself and tell them that you see, I see that you buy, laundry services. And that's what I provide. I just want to touch base, see what I can do to earn your business. And you can call these guys, reach out to them. And if you make enough phone calls, you will line up more business. It happens every day.
That's good. That's good. Absolutely.
And it's just one more little trick that I know that most people don't know.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely correct.
And that's almost a $100,000 contract right there.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, are you set up for simplified acquisitions as well?
I don't believe I am yet, John.
Have you seen any of my videos on simplified acquisitions?
I've seen them. Well, I've heard them. I've listened to them, but I haven't. I do it at night. Like I think I told you earlier, when I'm kind of going off to bed, I put on what I can and just listen. But I haven't seen it all yet on the simplified acquisition. Can you explain that to me?
Absolutely. Like this one, for example. I just searched cleaners, did a basic search for simplified acquisitions for cleaners. This was awarded on the 1st. The contract's through 2021. You see that?
Yep.
It's a $2 million contract, $2,039,000 they'll make total by 2021. They were paid almost $400,000 up front.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
A lot of simplified acquisitions are paid up front, either a deposit or half. Sometimes the entire amount is paid up front because they're trying to hire small businesses, and a small business can't afford to do this contract.
Of course. It's a $4 million contract. It's a lot of money to put up front. Mm-hmm. That's right.
And they have to wait a year to be paid every year. Small businesses can't do that. So they'll prepay on these things a lot of times, which in the government arena 5 years ago was completely unheard of. Government would never prepay you 5 years ago.
Right. Now they are.
This business. Look how many employees there are.
Right. Wow.
They only did 145,000 in revenues last year.
Mm-hmm.
They have one contract now. Paid them more up front than their entire revenues for the two times more than what they made last year is what they were paid up front.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
They've gone from overnight from being a small business to being a multi-million-dollar business.
Yep. No, I understand.
And here's the
huge.
kicker. See where it says simplified acquisition?
Yep.
Look at how many offers received.
2. Oh my goodness gracious.
The reason why?
How does that work? Yeah, why?
I can show you. This is a letter from Obama, went out in 2012. I don't know if you remember in 2010, the government passed something called the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and they were big to-do about how they were going to save the economy with the ARRA. And like government always does, they threw a bunch of stuff on the back end in order for everybody to agree on and sign off on it. But in the grand scheme of things, it was a great idea. Guaranteed 23% of the budget to small businesses. But the problem was back then the systems were difficult. They were still using CCR and ORCA. They hadn't implemented, SAM didn't get implemented until 2012.
Okay.
So they got all these businesses trying to win contracts, don't know how to do it, or don't know how to register properly, blah, blah, blah. The 3 main reasons, though, that these purchasing agents weren't doing 23% of their budget with small businesses is because of the rule of 2, where they're mandated that they had to get at least 2 quotes. If they couldn't get a second quote, they weren't allowed to award it.
Okay.
So for example, we'll look at another decent size one, this one right here. Okay, see where it says it's done as a simplified acquisition?
Mm-hmm.
Look how many offers received.
1. Wow.
1 offer. They were prepaid, $23,000. And this is a little one. They'll collect 40 grand by the time it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Before the ARRA was passed, they had to get 2 quotes. There was no way around it. Well, you don't always have 2 small businesses that are compliant within the service area to get a second quote. That's why a lot of these contracts weren't going to small businesses, just because there wasn't 2 to get a quote from. So they would wind up going out for anyone to bid on. So Obama stopped the rule of 2. He said, if the rule of 2, if you can't get a second quote, just compare the price to what we've paid in the past, and you can award it with only getting 1 offer. Now, you know as well as I do, humans in general are lazy, and when you tell people they don't have to do something, most of them are not going to do it anymore.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is all fine and dandy, that we don't have to get a second quote, but the limit on those contracts was $25,000 and under. And you're an agency that has a $100 million budget, and you're supposed to award $23 million of that to small businesses, and you have to do it $25,000 at a time. That's ludicrous. Yeah. So they increased that limit, what was called a threshold. They increased it many, many times. It's actually $8 million right now, but it's a suggested threshold. They can go above that.
Okay.
Here's the second issue, though. That's fine. You only need 1 quote. And you can award an $8 million contract to a small business, but these guys can't afford it. They don't have $8 million. They don't have $3 million sitting around to do an $8 million contract to cover the cost and have to wait 6 months or 30 days or 90 days or even a year to get paid. So the Obama administration said then we'll prepay. That was the day when this came out. It was my son's birthday, so I'll never forget this day. This was huge. Now, the beauty of what this has to help you is that not very many people know this. A lot of people tried to sell to the government 5-10 years ago and failed, and they think the rules are still the same, and they're not. This is one of the best kept secrets in the government. I mean, you didn't know this, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. This is amazing.
And it's right there in black and white. Go by date signed or.
And this will be notated in the in the RFP or anything, simplified issue or acquisition.
Well, these are simplified acquisitions, which means they're no bids. So a lot of times you're not even going to see them. They're not going to go out for bid. Only way to get them is to be registered properly in that system so that they can hire you, so they can find you. To do a bid contract for a purchasing agent, do a good job and earn their trust, they can hire you down the road once you've built that rapport. Do a subcontract for a prime and do a good job, because a lot of times the purchasing agents know when you're the subcontractor, they know who you are and they know you're the one doing the work, and they'll come to you and ask you sometimes to bid on it next year as the prime, since you already did the work and you earned their trust. I'm going to teach you how to market yourself to these purchasing agents. Sometimes they might have something sitting on their desk right now, and you happen to call them at the right time and hit them with the right elevator pitch, and they say, you know what, I got this one for 24 grand. I'll do it as a simplified acquisition. If you can help me, I'll give it to you.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And it doesn't matter the contract size. Let me show you one more thing here, because this is mind-boggling.
Yeah, it really is, man. How do you help with writing proposals, or?
I do proposal writing, registrations, training, bid assistance. I do it all.
All right, awesome. That's probably the main issue that I have is the proposal writing. I'm sure most people have it.
That's where a lot of people fail. They either didn't get registered properly to begin with, or they don't know what they're doing when they're writing and submitting proposals. And then they don't know they can do a debriefing, so they never find out why, Yeah.
And when you say registered properly where?
In all the systems, not just in SAM, but SAM has a system called DSBS. And if you're not registered in DSBS, then you're not compliant for simplified acquisitions. If you haven't done your reps and certs correctly in SAM, you're not compliant for bid contracts. If you're not set up properly in subnet, you're not going to be able to do sub work. So I want to make sure you're properly registered in all the systems and trained properly, and have my assistants to help you submit these bids properly.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Remember, I told you the threshold on those contracts was $8 million now, was the new threshold.
Yep.
But it's a suggested threshold. It's not a firm. It's just a suggested threshold. So they can go above that, and they do. Look at this one right here. This guy only did $1 million in revenues last year with 13 employees, right? You see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
They gave him a simplified acquisition, only one offer received, no competition.
Wow.
Ready for this?
$1
billion contract.
Oh my God. Holy crap. Yeah.
Overnight, he went from being $1 million company to $1 billion company overnight.
Holy crap. Shit, a lot of right there, that's for sure. Damn. Damn. Yeah. Gotta help me out here, man.
Well, have you checked to see if you're in a Hubzone, or do you know if you qualify for an 8A? Do you know what your goal is as far as, do you have a game plan or just?
I haven't. Today I actually I think I still have it up here on one of my browsers. Was looking for Hubzone. I haven't started. Well, I haven't gotten all of that done yet. I'm still new to this. I just took over the family business in October. So this is one of the aspects of what I'm intending on doing. So,
Well, this is what you need to do to be successful with the government. You need to, I'm going to email it to you. Okay. To be successful with the government, you want to watch my training videos, which you've already started doing. Yep. You have to have a business. You have to have either a DBA or an S Corp or an LLC, which you have. You need to have a business checking. In order to set up an account in SAM, you have to have a business checking. Of course, you want to take credit cards, so you need a merchant account. You have to register with Dun & Bradstreet, get a DNB number. And then There's registration. Are you a minority or a veteran?
Well, it's my mother's the main person on here, so she will be woman, and we're also Portuguese, which I think comes from his. So that would probably be.
Yeah,
it would be the.
That would be Hispanic. Yep.
Yeah, so that would be what, minority, right?
Yes. Is she also a veteran?
She is not. No.
Okay.
Not.
Do you know if she's ever done a DNA test?
I don't.
Set-asides are going to go to the majority owner. So unless your partner is a service-disabled veteran minority, you're better off being woman-owned.
Well, he is. This is something that's kind of he put this down on threw this down at me. He's already a government contractor in the IT realm, and he's a service vet disabled. So I don't know if that would be something that we should partner up with or not.
Well, you're going to have to make a majority owner, so you definitely want to make sure that you can trust them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not that you can't trust them, but if you're going to make someone majority owner of your business, make sure you can trust them.
I don't think I'm going to put it out, to be honest with you. But
I say that, and I have a guy. This was 2 years ago. His wife was, or excuse me, his wasn't even his wife. His girlfriend was a service-disabled veteran minority. He made her majority owner, and then something happened, and they broke up, and he's no longer a business owner.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
the thing about the set-asides, okay, she's a woman and a minority. That's much better. If it was just woman-owned, you'd be way better off as a veteran-owned because there's half as much competition for veterans as there are for women.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's almost 70,000 women-owned small businesses sharing that 5% versus veterans is only 40,000. So if that's the case, but if she's ever done never done the DNA test and she's part Native American, at least 1% Native American, which a lot of people are and don't know it, she can definitely qualify for the 8A.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
well,
but the 8A,
she's an immigrant?
all this, one more time.
She's an immigrant. Her and my dad were born in Portugal. So I don't know if they'd be Native American, you know what I mean?
Possibly not, yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth finding out.
Right.
You can do a DNA test through Ancestry.com. It's like less than $100. It takes 6 weeks to get it done, but it's worth finding out in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay.
This is my suggestion. You definitely need to get set up for simplified acquisitions. You need to make sure that you're registered properly, and you're definitely going to need my help. The 8A, the Hubzone, the VetBiz, all those registrations are they're longer-term solutions. It takes a year to process an 8A. It takes 6 months to process a VetBiz. So it's not a short-term solution. Your simplified acquisitions, it only takes a week or two. So you and I could get started on that one.